Hello, Beulah. This is Dr. Holt reporting from the cemetery scan that we did on the 15th of February. What I've got up here is one is a long scan. That's what this white line is here that's going back and forth. And we'll look at a couple things there. The other ones are scans up and down each row. I've got them in 3 batches so that we can cover the whole cemetery. I've got batch 1 and 3 up right now. 2 is off currently, but it looks more the same there. I've currently got just the Esri satellite imagery in there, so this is going to be probably a foot imagery there. So it's a little grainy, but we don't really need it there. It's just kind of show you where we are in the coverage. You'll notice that we covered the area that doesn't have any graves in it off on this location here, and then back behind we really didn't find any issues with any missing graves. The report will actually include all of the ones that we found, including the ones that are shifted, with specifics to who's around it and that sort of stuff. But you'll get that in the report. But this is just a video showing you how the process works. So we're running a GSSI SIR 4000 GPR unit with a 400 megahertz transmitter and receiver. We've got tied in with an Emlid GPS unit that is tied into our Gulf Coast Geospatial RTK network, which gives us corrections in real time. So I'm able to go out there and actually mark our lines. You can see that our lines are relatively straight as we're going up and down. We use survey pins out there to control how we're getting out there and moving back and forth and make sure that we cover every one of the rows. And we get a little bit of drifting here and there depending upon the need. So like, for example, right here we had to go out and around some curving, so not a big deal there. So what you're looking at here is located one of the high returns. So this is a high confidence return. This is a marked grave, I believe, if memory serves, that one on the corner, right as before we turned. We can know the depth of it by correcting for its dropping in our set velocity scale here, which I've already done, but I'll line it up here for you. So this velocity scale is going to come in between our top and our bottom. So it's actually the target here is the black line in between. So this is our actual return. I can adjust this based upon the velocity of the soil that we're in here in the lab. And you can see that the burials, the top of the burials are about 3/4 of a meter down, which is pretty typical for down here in our high water table. And then again, we can't see anything underneath it. So we're looking at is the top return across the top of the grave. As we approach it, as we crest over the top of the target, then we move back away from it. So the GPR is setting out an 8-degree cone in all directions, and so we go back and forth and we try to piece together where our targets are. So we can actually see there's targets here, there's targets here, and then I can find exactly where I am along the route as we move over here. As I jump over here, I can set our velocity down here as well, but this one's a little bit more problematic because it's a wider one. So this is pretty large casket there. So I'm going to cancel it out because I've already calibrated it. So I can see what our depth is. So we're running 1 meter down here, and this is running our line. So 120 meters. Because we did a serpentine one where we just snake back and forth, and these were single direction passes, the rest of them. And so this is actually looking at the one that has 2 graves right next to each other, but the headstone is really favoring this one. This is the newer one. And I think they were the Petersons. I'd have to look at my notes, but they're one of the first ones described in the photos in our actual result there. So I wanted you to see kind of what we're doing in our processing. And so what we do is we remove our wobble, which is our signal going down through the earth. We take our time 0, which sets the sound between the receiver and the ground itself. We can then do a pass filter, and we can background removal, so I can actually get rid of extra noise, cell phones, and all sorts of stuff, press noise in there. I can also do a band pass filter. So I usually run about 200 to 500 in my 400 megahertz. So we're picking up all of those, and it gives us a pretty good strong signal. So here's a good example of a strong return, and these are really light hyperbolas here. These are likely just tree roots or rocks or something underneath it. It's difficult to read underneath an object if we've got one up here, so it's kind of hard to read them when they get down over this level here. But as we can snake back and forth. And so I can jump around here. I can look at another really strong target here, and you can see we've got 2 people buried right next to each other. a slight gap, and then we've got another one here. These are marked graves, so this is not a concern here. So these ones have headstones. So just an idea for what we're actually looking for. And then as we move off into this direction here, we can see that, we're not really getting any returns in the area. We're not expecting any burials. So this is what the ground looks like. So this is what I calibrate what the ground should be. And you can kind of see it evident here, this kind of just gray wash. And then when I get a strong return, I get a black, white, black, or a white, black, white. They're little triplets that we get in there, and it's the center of them, and we can tend to get echoing and that sort of fun stuff with it. So again, nothing really found out over here. We've got a handful. It looks like we've got about 6 to 8 in your cemetery that could be marked better.